Good afternoon. You know when people say that Xbox has no games? Well, they're kind of right in some respects. Microsoft's a little bit slim on the first-party games, and we all know it. And some of us have been going on about it for some time, but Microsoft seem to be doing something about it. But I'm not here to talk about Microsoft today. I'm here to talk about Google Stadia again, because I've just sat through their Stadia Connect. And it was really exciting and really interesting, and they provided us with loads of... who am I trying to kid? It was corporate rubbish, wasn't it? And I have to ask this question before I even begin. Is everyone at Google completely fake? They put up these people to speak to us and try and sell us on games, and none of them sold me anything because they all looked and felt like people who didn't give a damn about games. And, you know, Google have got a bit of a track record with this, of saying one thing and doing something else, and not really having a human face and not feeling like they're in it with you. I mean, take YouTube for a start. Their history of doublespeak where YouTube is concerned is, well, almost legendary. And I've certainly experienced it a few times where I hear them saying one thing and then they do something completely different. But that obviously dovetails into Stadia. And with this most recent Google Stadia Direct, or whatever they want to call it, that's what it felt like to me. It felt like all they're interested in is getting our money and selling this to us. It was soulless, it was empty, and it was stuttering. And I mean that literally. It was stuttering. The live stream actually stuttered, which is really selling me on Stadia. If they can't even make the live stream go smoothly, are we really expecting them to have a game service that runs smoothly and doesn't stutter and doesn't give us lag and doesn't give us latency? Because my personal feeling is that all these claims about everyone will have the same hardware and we'll all be able to play at the same level is rubbish, because we are still subject to the vagaries of the internet. And I have a good connection, but it still goes down on occasion. And anyone who follows me on Twitter knows that sometimes I've had a right go about it. And if that happens with Stadia, good luck. You're not going to be playing your games, are you? Talking of which, games. You can see the screen in front of you here. This is the games they're going to have at launch, or at least some of the games are going to be at launch, because these games that we've got here in front of us, many of them won't be there at launch. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077, which is a game I'm really excited for and looks like it may be a groundbreaking game that is going to take us into the next generation with a boom, is not available till next year. And so we're not getting that at launch. And quite a few of these games aren't going to be with us at launch. And the other thing, if we have a look through, you've got, how many? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, about 35 games at launch. Most of these games, nearly all of these games, are available on other platforms, and other platforms that don't rely on streaming. And the other thing you'll notice here is the thing that Microsoft have been criticized for, as I was saying earlier. No exclusives. No exclusives for Stadia at launch or at any time, as far as I can see at this stage. I do know that when they did their previous Stadia Direct, or whatever it was called, they talked about starting a studio. But you don't start a studio just before you launch a service, do you? You start a studio many, many years before and get your ducks in a row. You get it so that you've got some games either at launch or soon after launch. And Stadia is not going to have any of their own games made by Google Studios for some years. So there's no exclusives. The list of games is limited. There are still serious doubts about whether they can actually deliver a smooth, lag-free, latency-free experience, and I would err on the side of caution where that's concerned, and they want to charge you £119 to get it. And then on top of all that, you're going to have to buy the games. Yep, that's right. None of these games are part of the service, apart from, I think, Destiny 2, which you will get if you buy the Founders Edition. And they'll also throw in 3 months of the service. So then after 3 months, you have to start paying for it monthly. So, as I say, no exclusives. No games that really stand out in terms of something they're offering that nobody else is. The price is not particularly good. And when you start factoring in that Ubisoft will be charging for their own service within the service, so you can be paying £15 for Ubisoft service, and maybe other people will come on board and do that as well. And I've mentioned this in my previous video. It's going to get bloody expensive. So you're going to be paying more money for a lesser service. And they're not even throwing much in for the benefit of it. I mean, at least with Microsoft and Sony, they are actually throwing stuff in. Even Nintendo are throwing some free stuff in when you subscribe to their service. And with Microsoft, at least, if you're going for Game Pass on top of Xbox Live, you're getting a whole raft of games as part of that price. And, with all the deals that have been going on with Xbox Live and Game Pass Ultimate recently, get a whole load of games for the cost of entry. And okay, look, you have to buy the box on top of that. But £119 isn't that much cheaper. And then you're going to have to start paying for the service afterwards as well. I don't know. This doesn't look like a very good business model to me. It looks like it's going to be dead on arrival. And I said this in my previous video. And every time I watch Google do an announcement about this and talk about their games, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. You're paying £119 up front and you're getting very little for it, apart from Destiny and 3 months of the service. Oh, and a controller. Oh, and a box to plug into your telly, apparently. It just doesn't fill me with confidence. And let me put this in context. When I first heard about Stadia, I thought, great, we need something to shake up the market. I was really excited for it, and I thought it might be interesting. And at that point, I was thinking you'll pay a flat fee and the games will be part of that flat fee, or at least some of them will. But no. And then, on top of that, people have been asking, what happens if the service goes down? What happens if you stop supporting this service? What happens to your games? And their only response is that you'll be able to keep your save games. So you get your save games, but then you're going to go and have to buy the game elsewhere? So you spent all this money, and then 2 years down the line, Google decided, not interested anymore, and it's gone. And you're left high and dry. All this money you've spent, you've got nothing to show for it. Thank you very much, Google. And I'm not saying it will fail, but Google have got a track record when it comes to getting rid of things that aren't making them money, or at least aren't growing. So, yeah, I've got very little confidence in this service. And honestly, I don't think anyone should have very much confidence in this service. As somebody who makes YouTube videos, as I said before, you only have to look at the way Google approach that and the way they constantly come out with doublespeak. They tell us one thing and they do something completely different. Things are going to get better, things get worse. They make promises and they don't keep them. Do you really want to buy a gaming service from a company that behaves like that? Do you? I certainly don't. And as I say, I am one of the people who was waiting to see what would happen with this. But no. No, it's not going to work. And one last thing that I have to mention as well, and this one worries me. I was watching Boogie talking about this, Boogie2988 talking about this in his video talking about this. And he said, what if Google decide to pull an Epic and start paying for games, paying for exclusivity? Rather than actually making their own games, they start buying up games to put on the service and stop them coming on other services. What happens if they do that? As far as I'm concerned, everything they're doing at the moment doesn't interest me. And if they did go down that route, then that would be really, really bad for gaming. And I really hope that doesn't happen. But you can imagine it happening because they haven't got anything else to make people buy this as it stands. I keep waiting for them to drop something that's going to make me go, wow, that's amazing. I really want this. And they never do. And I don't think they will. I just can't see that this offers anything to gamers. And I'm not sure at the price that it offers anything to people who aren't gamers either. If you're not a big gamer, why would you spend £119 on this service, which you're then going to have to pay month after month for? It doesn't make sense. The biggest business model just doesn't seem to make sense to me. And look, I've been wrong about things like this before. The reality is that I thought the Nintendo Switch was going to die a death. It didn't, and it's going from strength to strength, and it's looking like it may even outsell the PlayStation 4. So I was completely wrong on that one, and I could be completely wrong on this one. But where I was glad to be wrong about the Nintendo Switch, I really don't want to be wrong about this one. Not unless Google do something, pull their finger out and make this service worth having, because as it stands, it's not worth having. Sorry, Google, but it's not. But anyway, that's what I think. You guys might think something completely different as ever. And if you do, come and let me know in the comments and we can hash it out. And while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to go and do my usual thing and get a cup of tea. And I will speak to you in the next one. And hopefully the next one's a bit sooner than this one, because it's the middle of the summer holidays in the UK at the moment and my kid's off. So I haven't had a lot of time to make videos. So be patient with me, but I will be back. And as I say, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.